Well, hello everybody. Goeienaand, goeiemorgen, goeiemiddag. Tom, you know that we've been giving you Afrikaans lessons on this channel.
I love it. Yeah, I had a good friend of mine from Nigeria. We played soccer together, and he taught me all these words in Nigerian so we could fake out the other teams in this country. It was amazing. He didn't know what the hell we were talking
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. Yeah, we have Tom on again. Double dose Tom this for the last 2 weeks. So very, very happy to have you with us again, Tom.
about.
So, how are things in America with well, again, let's just you guys all know Tom, he needs no introduction. The real, authentic, true script writer and author of the movie The Matrix. And for you guys who've been watching over the past year or so, Tom, you've been with us for a long time now on
Yeah,
this channel.
I
We've
love
kind of been, yeah, we love you. Yeah. So we've been kind of been going through what the Matrix is and where we're at, and very interesting times indeed. So over to you, because you can see the viewers are here for you, not for me.
Oh, absolutely for you too. You look gorgeous, by the way. You look just
Oh,
fine. Fine. You know, for ancient times, people would be like, ooh. But yeah, so I'm just telling you, everything's moving so fast. And I think the world needs to understand it's not going to be Trump or Biden or Putin or those that really change the world. They're just figureheads when it comes down to it, mostly. Not to enrage Trump supporters. I supported him too. The thing is, it's going to be you. It's going to be you guys that make the difference in the world. And getting by the machinery in place, which is the media, controlled media, to shut you down. The other side shows you what they're most concerned about. They allow these other guys to have the stage full time, but they're concerned about the voices behind the scene, the wilderness voices, the ones that
yeah.
actually do have the evidence. And that's who they bring the hammer down the most. So it's interesting because yesterday this came in the mail. And what this is from the U.S. Copyright Office. This is the pristine copies of the original screenplay, unopened and perfect condition and certified. So this is going to be huge. And I can feel by the thickness, it's not altered. So that means we've got it. And also, this is the most dangerous week for me and Aiden, but it's also our happiest because the other side has just revealed their hands. And we have now the key piece missing that we never understood from the original graphic in The Matrix, which now spells doom for the Central Intelligence Agency of the US and the FBI. So, yeah, this
Wow.
is a great time.
I really think it is showtime at the moment. I mean, it really is. There's a lot going on. Okay. So we were speaking a little bit off air earlier on, and you spoke about a certain date.
Oh, yeah.
You want
Yes,
to tell us about that?
I do. Do you have share screen?
You must just share there. You can share all on your own, apparently.
Oh, I
Don't
can't.
ask.
I can just share? Oh,
Yes, you can
well, that
share.
graphic. Remember that first graphic? We talked about the first graphic in The Matrix, right? And that's the one where they have the my high school. I even modeled the jacket for you and promised it to you at some point here. You can have the high school jacket. And then I've got what do they have in there? My birthday, which is corrected later, as it was in records at the time. So all these entries: Thomas A. Anderson, John A. My dad, Michelle McGee, the art director, is Nia's mom. And on the next page is 9/11. So the Wachowskis are telling you a false flag is going to be done in that 1999 graphic, right? And it comes to be. The whole piece is written about also a false flag going to be done for endless wars to take away our rights in that one world society being brought in on the tail of it. So that is what the Immortals is about too. And so the Wachowskis put 9/11 after all my stuff, like the high school and everything. Now there's one entry we didn't know what it was. That was the entry March 13, 1962. Why was that in there? We scoured around. We couldn't figure it out because we knew the Wachowskis meant every detail in that graphic. It ties either to me or his staff. That was the joke in it. Or 9/11. So how's this tie in? We struck gold thanks to Oliver Stone, who I'd worked with his son some, Sean Stone. So Oliver Stone does the JFK documentary. In that, he reveals declassified documents, and it talks about Operation Northwoods. Operation Northwoods was when they laid on the president's desk the CIA saying, we are going to do terrorist acts against U.S. citizens. Let me say it again. We're going to do terrorist acts against U.S. citizens, CIA, in order to justify false wars. Now, this is huge. So why is that date so important? Because they went a little step further. They are morons. The Central Non-Intelligence Agency, the Central Morons Agency. So it's the CMA. That's what it really is. That in my script, my main character is a lower department head who gets screwed and burned by the heads. And who is the Smith agent? Now, why they call him Smith? Why they changed his name to Smith? Well, his name was actually Kurt Behringer. Moved with a calculated grace is the description. Isn't that interesting? So that's why the character, Hugo Weaver, decided to do Smith the way he did, is because he read the original directions of the character in The Immortals, which was on set, as we're told, by personnel there now, like the fight choreographers and such, which goes in the documentary. So he read these words for his character description, and then you see how Smith came about. A well-dressed man moving with a calculated grace. Now look at Smith. Look at Smith. Well, we feel that you are, calculated. So what's interesting, it says robot-like agent. So Smith in The Immortals is one of the top officials in the CIA. No wonder they took it down and changed it just so Smith. Because of Wachowski. Okay, now let's look at the graphic. We have every entry, including July 22nd, which they had changed my birthday in records to July 22nd when I was being erased. My social security number was gone. Everything was gone. And so then they correct it, as we said, in 2003 to 7259. But on that first graphic, they have what they changed it to, July 22nd, which was on my records back then. Pretty telling. My high school, everything. Let's go to the graphic. 9/11 is in there. The Wachowskis want to brag about they know what's coming. The CIA can't resist. So they put a graphic in. They put an entry in. The missing link, the missing element. March 13, 1962. You morons. Because the thing that ended on the desk for Operation Northwood greenlighted was March 15th, 1982, 2 days later. So we're looking at the CIA saying, let's make it March 13 because that's when we agreed to do it. March 13, 1962, you idiots. Talking to CIA and all their operatives that are dumb as donkeys going backwards down a well. They are idiots. So when their organization is dissolved and cut from funding, the world's going to be a smarter, better place. I'll tell you, including the FBI and Fitzpatrick and people like him that are just morons disrupting Ukraine and other places. So here we got them. We got them in their audacity and trying to be clever in their little stupid boyish ways. March 13 is 2 days before that ends up on the desk. That's the historic date. That's the date. Thank you, CIA idiots. That they decided to put it forward and constructed it. We know this too because the Declaration of Independence was what? July 4th? What happened on July 2nd, 2 days before that? That's when it was ratified. That's when it was officially in. It's 2 days before. So the CIA has done us a great service in their boasting. It wasn't the Wachowskis that put that entry in that we could never figure out till now. It was the CIA as they controlled the project. They put March 13, 1962. That's when they were all giddy and said Operation North was going to go forward. Let's look at it one more time. What is it? Terrorist acts on U.S. citizens to bring about wars that are falsely levied on other countries and other states.
False flags.
Think of it.
And psyops, right?
That's right. So we now have an historic moment where the CIA are caught with their thumbprints all over the piece. Think of it. And thank God we survived. And now here it is right here. They are never, ever going to get away with it now. We outlasted everything they threw. Everything from the death of my sons, to the altering of the work, to false judges put in place, to Robertson's machinations where he made sure the work went to people like Christopher Nolan at Universal Studios. What did Christopher Nolan do? The Dark Knight. Now, Christopher Nolan only does good work when he's mocking the original author. He even named his son Sean. So what happens is you have Christopher Nolan doing Dark Knight. What is the false flag, or what's the main event in the Dark Knight? Okay, the hospital blows up. What happens in the Immortals? What is the false flag in the Immortals to warn you about 9/11 coming? The hospital blows up. They are all trying to be so clever that they all spell it all out. They just put it all in there, including the names. Do you know that in Dark Knight, remember Neo's name is actually in the original work Jim Reese? Do you know Jim and Reese is also in Dark Knight? Christopher Nolan was in film school, and the professor said, you'll never make it as a film writer. You'll never make it. You just don't have the chops. And then he was so surprised Universal hired him to do the same thing the Wachowskis were doing. You know, Wachowskis never went to film school. I did. I went to grad school.
But there's a little rumor that the Wachowskis weren't always boys.
No, they were always boys. I mean, look at Larry's picture. Look at Larry's picture. He's still boys. He's still dangling. I mean, maybe a tiny little thing there, a little mushroom, but the thing is he's still there. And it's like, I mean, yeah. And it's like, I know that because he hits on the girls in the girls' room. This is all giddiness for him. So, yeah. And he says a thing during I just go all the way with this idiot. So it's this thing where there was a, if I get banned for saying Wachowski's an idiot, then the world's definitely gone to hell in a pen bag. The thing is, he goes to the girls' room. Okay. He does this award ceremony where he gets awards for my work. But it's like that. They announce now from the creators of Speed Racer. And it's like, you know, and The Matrix. And Bob takes a dump in the outside toilet. Larry Wachowski. And he goes up there and he's like this. He's like, yeah, there you go. And so he does the first thing he says is this. He goes, how come nobody ever talks about Bound? He went off. What? Bound? Bound was trash. And it's like, you know, and that's their audition piece so they can take the work. And so he goes like this. He goes, my hairdresser is the only one that knows. And you're probably wondering what's down here. No, we're actually here to hear you get this award, which you don't deserve. But go on, Larry. So she's the only one that knows. And let me just tell you this, like everybody's interested. The carpet matches the drapes. God help us. It's an award ceremony, and you're talking about that? This guy couldn't write a thing. I mean, Diaper Diaries, like I said, he couldn't write a thing. And that's what he wrote? Oh, my God. And he's reading off the guy. He's going, how come nobody ever talks about Bound? Maybe it sounds stupid? And it's like, yeah. So he's not saying, thank you, I wrote Matrix. He's saying, you know, nobody talks about the work I actually did. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Tom, that is so funny. Yeah. Wow, what can I say? It's hilarious.
Yeah, so he's still there. It's still there, the millimeters of it. And it's like he's just playing a giddy game. That's what he's doing. He's playing a giddy game. Now, Andy is so upset about having to look like a girl. That's the agenda. Now, what's interesting is in the original work, what's in the original work? Genderless people. It's in the original script. Why? Well, it serves the story. Because when Neo is cut from the program and has to go to the outside the program, from the train station, he has to meet up with somebody who had been in the program to hide out with her, who is aged. He's fascinated by her having aged. She has no gender left. because they scarred themselves so the rape gangs wouldn't hurt them anymore. The architect needs the stimulation so these agents are allowed to roam free outside the program. See? So that's what happens. And the Oracle in mind definitely is an anomaly. He's from a parent from inside the program and one outside the program. And he's an anomaly that can exist in both places. And we find out Neo can too. So what's interesting is they grab all these concepts. They don't know how to do it because they're more interested in the carpets and the drapes. They have no idea. They just have no clue. And then on their fan site, they're asked about the little girl at the train station. And what's the answer for Larry? Larry's going to come up with something great for this. Okay, fans are asking, what does the little girl mean from the train station? Think, Larry, think. And he goes, it's just a subplot. That worked. What the hell?
You can explain it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good explanation. Then he does this thing where he says on his own fan page, he says, thank you to all the fans that are explaining the work to us. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't understand it. That there wasn't 6 generations of Zion. There was only one. Yeah, Larry, there's only one. Because the original work says there's only one. Don't say it's your fans that helped you figure it out. It just didn't work when you changed to 6 generations. Because the architect knows where those people are. He wants them brought out by an oracle, being ambiguous, to have him worship as God at the end. So he has the stimulation of that, and he never loses that stimulation in an endless immortal program, where his mind would atrophy from lack of stimulation, which they put, Shanti, into Squid Games. They laundered through Japan, Squid Games, and in Squid Games, you find out the architect, who's aged, like in mine, has no stimulation of the mind. That's why he did everything, because he needed his mind stimulated. Way to go! Way to go, rip-off artists. Laundering through Japan. Crunchyroll and the rest. And
Wow.
what happened? Yeah, and what's the greatest concept the world's ever seen, according to Joel Silver and the rest of them at Netflix, where the attorneys went to? That the poor in the future are used as pawns by the rich who have immortality in a program.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. And they got that through all discovery and notes through a fraud case they were through and controlled. And they couldn't wait to announce. So there's Warner Brothers and Joel Silver, Alder Carbon, which incidentally, he took his name off the project and ran for the hills after the hit and run missed me and they killed Sean. Then he went back on to take credit. And we find that Crunchyroll also with Warner Brothers through Darling and the Franxx has the same premise. The rich in the future have immortality. The poor is used as pawns. Aren't we brilliant? Wow. Ripping it off from the original piece. Robbing humanity of what it's supposed to be, and the messages prevented all these wars. If I had been allowed to have name credit for my work, which I have the copyright for, if I was allowed to have name credit, we could have prevented wars, because that's what the work was also written to do. Take the power from the CIA and the cabal. So they took it and laundered it and forced it through a case where they controlled everything and made sure it was thrown despite all the evidence, which is hands down us. And according to the court system in the U.S., if a plaintiff has proof or any evidence at all, that means you proceed to trial. It has to be no proof, nothing there for a triable issue. We have tons. We have Jackson Neck, everything. And wait till you see in the documentary how they orchestrated all the changing of it to make sure everything was blocked, including the inserts with my high school and everything, where they actually said, well, since the judge said there's no matchups, Jackson Neck, train station, little squiddy girl, all that. Yeah. Therefore, this entry with your high school and everything about you doesn't mean anything because there's no matchups. There's tons of matchups. It's just that you blocked all the evidence that shows the matchups. All the exhibits were blocked. And then you allowed only that entry of the matchups so you can block that and say, well, since it doesn't have the supporting matchups that we're blocking, this entry of all your high school and everything else doesn't count because it doesn't mean work's not stolen if there's not matchups. Are you kidding me? You blocked all the exhibits that show the matchups so you can say that this entry with all the stuff they stuck in doesn't apply? And then all you see on is he lost his case. No, we're coming back. Fraud, fraud, fraud. And it's interesting that their attorneys for Warner Bros. And the rest are very afraid of federal prison. They've been complaining about that they can go to federal prison. They're saying it as if I'm not going to go forward. So we're gonna finish the job. We make a better world. We hold the key, and this is that key. Now people go, well, there's lots of things that are being done. I beg to differ. There's not a lot of things actually succeeding. No. There's a lot of things the media will put forward to you. But basically, I feel like Iron Man. I am Tony Stark. And they're trying to call Elon Musk Tony Stark. No, basically, I am. I'm the one that came up with everything, including the tech. So that's why Iron Man is done the way he is by Robert Downey Jr. It's actually, this is the guy that came up with the tech. This is the guy that came up with the stuff and had the brain and the genius. And so that's why they're calling Elon Musk, my replacement, that's claiming my tech, the Iron Man, Tony Stark. And that's why he appears in Iron Man. And that's something. So according to Hollywood, I am Tony Stark. I'm the guy that came up with all stuff. Isn't that fun? So it's going to be an interesting finish, because if they look at their own character, he doesn't give up, does he? Now that's why I'm told that's why in the end now they killed him off. They killed the character off, their best character. They killed him off out of the series because now they're panicked. They're panicked because the correlation is going to be drawn. There's no way about it. Who came up with the scientific tech? Who came up with the stuff they're claiming that made them the richest man in the world? And who has a heart to see the world better? And who's vying with the U.S. government right now for his tech to reclaim, to make it a better world? That's the Tony Stark of real life. So Elon Musk isn't.
You, Tom.
I am. Let me know. Yeah.
Yes, I know. So again, I've asked you this before, and another question. And when are we going to see this docu? I mean, when can we expect that the docu comes out?
Well, that's the thing. That's why this is the most dangerous week, is I'm traveling to shoot important footage, and we have very important people lined up. So this is why it's the most dangerous week, because that discovery has been made also just previous now, just a couple days ago. So this means the tables are completely turned. Now, one of two things can happen, or maybe both. They turn on each other and fall apart, or they try to take me out. Now, what's interesting is they threaten this all the time. Then they say, well, Tom Althouse thinks that organizations are out to get him. I hate the phrase out to get him. I never use that phrase. They do. They want to make it sound trite or delusional. The thing is, I'm not the one that's delusional. The thing is, they're the ones saying they're going to do this, and I'm being smart about it, and I'm not going to be an idiot about it. But I do have to take the trip in order to finish the work. So if anything happens to me, just know we already have the key. The world's in good hands. The world's going to make it because of the evidence we have. So if anything happens to me, let's open this up and let's see what's actually there and spread the word. Operation Northwoods. Operation Northwoods. March 13, 1962. And look at the matrix graphic, the first graphic. That's why I would have been killed. So that's what needs to never die. And I want Aiden to benefit from all this too. I'm not planning on going anywhere except straight to the top to make a difference in this world, to hold it as a placard for the rest of the people that are good. So I'm not going to finish the job. I'm never going to stop. But the thing is that if they take their cheap shot, and I've even been told how it's supposed to happen. They said it's supposed to be on the highways and then a finishing shot to the right temple. So it's like, that's where the insert. So it's supposed to be that I'm hit like Kennedy. They want to, and the symbolism is this, that the brain that came up with this stuff is blown away. It's a message to the rest of the inside that if you cross the line and try to do good, you'll be splattered, destruction of the brain. And I've even been told from the inside that the Wachowskis want a piece of it. They want a piece of it as a trophy, that they got away with stealing the work, the genius they never understood. So my personal preference is they never get a hold of it. And they're behind bars, along with those that, the Wachowskis, though, if they ended up in bars or behind bars, they'd be screaming at the top. Many people say, well, they're not the ones really, none of the brains behind it. Well, absolutely not the brains behind it. But they are responsible for the evil and what's been in effect on an entire world. Larry Wachowski, with his giddiness and the playtime he's had, he's responsible. And so is Andy, even though he's trying to distance himself from the project. Notice he didn't appear on Matrix 4. He's afraid. He's looked at the evidence and gone, okay, this is scary. Because he saw the evidence during the throne trial. He knows what it is. So the whole thing too is MSJ's motion for summary judgment doesn't apply. I don't care if you say you rule of prejudice. there was plenty of triable issues, and we're going on fraud. So we'll be back after the documentary if needed. So they know that. They're upset about that. That's why they're cutting feeds, making phone calls with 66 or 9936 on it, beeping it off on the phone of my mom.
So that's 666 inverted. When you the numerology, it's the
try to be clever. Yeah, that's the whole thing. The thing is, they're boring. They're boring. Their cleverness is what holds their group together. They feel like that's what keeps their corral strong. But they're not clever, and that's what's being taught. And we're going to give them an education. We're going to educate them now that they're not that clever at all. And if you choose people like the Wachowskis and Christopher Nolan, and people like oh God, what was his name? The guy that did Dollhouse. He even says he rips off work. He'd been in Waterworld too, where my work ended up. Josh Whedon. These guys are morons. They really don't know how to write. They're using stolen work, and they talk about that stolen work in order to make their fame. And that's what Dean Laurentiis did with the Wachowskis. He promised them riches, women. Isn't that something? Promising them women. That sounds kind of archaic. How can you promise people women? Beautiful women. It shows you the mentality right there. And so they're being promised all this stuff when they're failed at everything they did. Because they just need them to. They need failed people that will be loyal to steal the work. So picture the Hollywood industry. Well, the new Hollywood, as paparazzi are saying, the new Hollywood, when the actual writers are restored to position, when people actually did the work, then you'll see a golden age. So right now you see regurgitation vomited out by people like Larry talking about the drapes in the carpet.
How lovely. We know that they're showing us all the time in the movies what they're doing and how they're doing, Matrix being a perfect example. No. And we also know that a lot of the movies like the Immortal, stuff like that, are literally spin-offs from the Matrix. They've kind of taken sections of it and created other movies of it. Right. Am I right?
Absolutely. Tons off the Immortals comes everything from Sense8 to Oblivion to Elysium, Inception, because the Dream movies pitched at the same time. So it's fascinating to look into it, where the Dream movie I pitched, I call it the Dream movie as a working title, with the Immortals, how the Wachowskis blended it together for Matrix. It doesn't work. You can't blend the two films together. That's why Neo flies away to escape danger, because in the Dream movie, my character flies away in the dreams to escape danger. See? It doesn't work. You got a character that's able to supersede anything in the Dream movie, where the Immortals, you're a regular Joe that has to use your own devices and some help from another source to survive. So you can't mix it. It doesn't work. So yeah.
What movies of these would you recommend that our viewers watch to see what's going on? There's a lot of, as you say, like Squid Games. I don't know if you've seen, I just happened to come across this again, weirdly. What's it called? The Menu. No, I just happened to see the trailer of The Menu. Do you know what that's? Have you seen that?
No.
It's similar to Squid Games, I guess, on a level, but it's literally these 12 people that get taken on this boat at $12.50 a head, and they literally are the menu. So they get hunted and stuff like this, like the Hunger Games, and pretty much what happens at these elite places where the kids have these hunting parties, or not the kids, but the adults.
Right.
It's that sort of thing. So basically then, I guess you eating other humans, it's all about cannibalism, because it's now really what they're doing is they're normalizing cannibalism.
That's what I've been researching. That's exactly what's going on. They want to take us that next step. Remember the honeypot wife, Rebecca B. Lynn now is her name, where she was Rebecca Northcutt and Rebecca Althouse. She was saying that in the end to Aiden and I, that we could order human meat from India, and she wanted to try it. Where she claimed to be vegan before. Now she says she's a meat eater. So that's one of the last things she talked about us with. And it was like, no, what? And so human consumption of humans is the big thing in ritual and power now. And yeah, Hollywood's going to be bringing that forward more and more through other countries also. And it's insane. And you're going to see that they actually talk about this a lot, Forbidden Feast. And they'll talk about that young girls, they're going to say, are the best candidates for consumption. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And so this is a power thing with humans wanting to be gods. And the show's here.
Let me just ask you, on another note, let's go back to, what was his name? Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal Lecter.
The actor in it?
Anthony
Hopkins.
Yes. Now, when we look at that movie, I think that movie for a lot of people was horrific because of the fact that he consumed humans. And if you remember at the end scene in the one movie, he sits in the airplane and he feeds this little boy what's obviously human brain, right? So that's kind of where the movie ends. So I'm wondering, was that part of normalizing this? I mean, where do you, Tom, in your mind, because as we're seeing now more and more, Squid Games, Hunger Games, The Menu, even in another series on Netflix, oh man, I forget the name. I was actually speaking with it, the something, where they're talking about adreno harvesting and ritual abuse, and it's kind of like it's being put out there in the movies. And I'm wondering, if we go back to Hannibal Lecter, do you think that was part of the initial stages of normalizing this?
I think absolutely. I think that's spot on. That was absolutely what was supposed to be done. The honeypot wife, Rebecca Northcott, actually was brought in to work with Anthony Hopkins directly, and on his wife and him. And that was her goal, to work with these rich people. So I wouldn't be surprised she's still working with them. But you have these things even in Space Force, where they use my brother's name, Mark Naird, same name with an N for a nerd, and they make fun of him. But they have it in there about drinking the blood of children. So this has been drip fed, no joke, no pun intended, but they've been drip feeding this to us, like you said, for a long, long time. And the intention was to prove to humanity that they are evil at their core and dark. That's the agenda, besides the transgender thing.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Becky. It's The Watcher. It's a new series that just came out on Netflix the other day. And I just happened to find it and thought it was a movie, and it ended up being a series, which I, of course, could not stop watching because I was like so intrigued by what it was about. But in there, they talk about exactly this satanic ritual abuse, killing children, drinking their blood, adreno harvesting.
Again, I think they're upset because the red pill has now been revealed as being from the blood of the children in the Immortals. And so when they rip the work off, they're afraid the work's going to be restored. They are very
Hold the phone. You saying the red pill?
The red original work is based off the blood of the children.
Explain that, please. I don't understand that.
Well,
What do you mean?
The program. In order to design the program, you need to be able to enter the program. They come up with a red pill. It's not the blue pill, red pill offered. It's only the red pill that's offered to Neo in the original work by the Smith agent.
So are you saying that that's actually what the red pill meant? So we always say you got to be red pill, but I know you've been saying for a long time it's not the red pill, it's the blue pill, people. It always made sense that it would have been the blue pill, but the red pill is obviously, as you say. Okay, explain that in more depth, please. The red pill, and it's linked to the drink in the blood.
That's how you get the Immortal program. The Immortal program is based on longevity, based on the growth hormones and also the blood of the young children. And that's what develops the red pill. Hello. And the blue pill is the underground pill. So the Wachowskis put this in the scene with Morpheus. You go off to take the red pill and the blue pill. Well, the reason he's doing that is because they're mixing the Alice in Wonderland imagery as they ripped off.
Oh my gosh, Tom! No! Wow! How sneaky!
Yeah, the original work, you're only offered the red pill. Neo's offered the red pill by Smith, and if he turns it down, his family's going to die. And so he has to enter the program. That's how they work these systems. It's how it's done to me. And so he's offered the red pill only. If he takes it, that's based on the blood of the children. He has entered the immortal program. They say a brave new world awaits you.
And oh my gosh. And of course, it has to do with psychosis and the
Well,
very dark
yeah,
stuff, because
the
that's
growth
really what
hormone.
the red pill gives you is psychosis, really, too
What
much of
it's
it.
about. Yeah. So the blue pill we see later in the original work is offered by the underground as a bootleg pill that you can work within the red pill system. It's not this. This makes no sense. You can't be offered two pills. It doesn't make any sense. Offer the red pill, and if he doesn't want it, then nothing's lost. He hasn't seen anything. He hasn't taken it yet. So just offer the red pill. That's what happens in the original work. The red pill is the only thing offered. Now they switched to Morpheus offering it, Smith agent offering it, because the architect is making the Smith agent offer it because he wants, the architect needs a simulation of the mind. So he wants that conflict between Smith and Neo. So he makes Smith the mentor for Neo when he's brought back in the future time. And he has to behave himself. And Smith wants to kill him, but he's not allowed by the architect until he gets the green light. And that's why the whole thing with the shard of glass, cutting it out, which is in Elysium also, they rip that off that way. And they take Smith's enhancer, its Neuralink enhancer, out, and they refit it to Neo. So he's having Smith's memories. That's why when he's finding the dome, which in mind he's looking for the dome with Trinity and the Trinity character, and she's holding his hand because he's living the Smith memories where his family had been tortured by Smith. So he has Smith's memories in. His own have been removed because it was bugged and diseased, that chip, that enhancer. And so he's only has Smith memories. And he's trying to deal with that. So he's feeling the elation Smith felt at the harming and seeing the visual memories of the harming of his family that Smith felt. That's why Trinity's going with him as he's accessing the memories to find the dome. Notice they keep the same thing. They just don't let you know what's going on. Why would you cut the scenes of what Neo's seeing when he's tortured, trying to find the dome, and why Trinity's holding his hand? In their version, you just see Trinity holding his hand, riding along to the dome. But it doesn't show you anything, but they want credit for that concept. In the original work, you see what Neo is feeling and seeing, and it's horror. Horror. And what's interesting is that's exactly what's happened in my life. They want me to relive the horror, a living horror. That's why I wasn't killed. A living horror of knowing my sons were murdered, they tell me, how they are murdered, what they may have said, that Aiden's next if I don't behave myself and give over my work. They want you to live a living horror. So I'm actually living what the character lived in the original work. And what the Wachowski's done is cheapened it. And audiences never see the full fruition. Think of it. If you have Neo suffering with Trinity holding his hand, that's in both works, trying to find the dome with these memories, wouldn't you want to see what he's seeing? Wouldn't you want to see not just code and a line leading to the dome? No, he's living the memories of the Smith and feeling the feelings of the Smith. Now that's cool. That's intense. That's worthy of an audience if you're serving your audience. But the Wachowskis robbed the audiences of that. They don't care. They don't care. They just want to be famous on stolen work.
Wow, amazing. I really look forward to seeing this, because I think when your documentary comes out, I think so much is going to be clarified.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people. It's just going to tie up loose ends and maybe just click in some final things for a lot of people, just to
wait to see the real life, the movie the way it was supposed to be. Wait to see the way it's supposed to be. And all these attorneys saying, wait to see the real life movie. Now, when I say I'm Tony Stark, that sounds arrogant. I know it sounds arrogant. So is his character. But the thing is, I'm saying it because I'm supposed to be in the face of our enemies for us. They said I dared to face them down. I'm going to face them down now, like a Tony Stark. So I'm going to sound arrogant. I'm going to sound strong. I'm going to sound forceful. You betcha. Because I'm going to do the worst thing they fear. I'm going to do it publicly. So it's not my nature to be arrogant. It's not there. But I'm going to stand strong and I'm going to do it the way they don't like it. And they're afraid people will cheer me on. They're afraid of that so bad because that could create a movement to finish the work and reveal them and get them behind bars. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's have a blue pill movement. Let's put it back the way it was originally supposed to be. They pulled the wool over the audience's eyes and Snowdened them. I said that on purpose because he's groomed by the inside. So what's happened is they're supposed to make it like there's nothing else to see. The blue pill is the true pill. The red pill is the bad pill. The ones that stole it made the bad pill good. That's the joke on
Good for bad. Yeah.
It's the blood of the children. Never forget, it's the blood of the children. The blue pill is from the author's eye. That if you take it, you can see what's really going on. And more than ever, you need the blue pill. More than ever. Don't let me disappear without the knowledge being translated that I know what I've seen. And part of that is this date. Never forget this date. If anything happens to me, March 13, 1962, the CIA. Brag. They brag. They made it institutionalized. They made it official. Terrorist acts on U.S. citizens. That's not misinformation. That's what they did in order to justify wars against sovereign nations. And that's all we've ever done in this country. We've made false wars on others, blaming them. And they've done it in the court. They've done it in the court systems. That's why the Matrix case was lost. Same reason you had the war in Vietnam. Same reason Kennedy was going to stop that war. Johnson made sure it turned around before Kennedy's body was cold. They had everything they were doing. Johnson connected to the CIA. One of my most chilling scenes, I think, from Oliver Stone's work, which I think, God bless the man, is that, he shows Dulles, whatever his name is, the head of the CIA, puffing on a cigar, enjoying his cigar, the luxuries of life. And he's asked, have you ever done any harm to any citizens or anything else? And he does this moment that's so telling. So here's what he does. He's asked, have you ever harmed anybody else or harmed anybody else? He goes, no. Idiot. They are so stupid. Anybody can read that. Anybody could read that. Shanti, have you ever done harm to anybody in the life? And it's like, no.
Who, me?
Yeah. Seriously? God help us all. This is what made the world bad.
Yeah.
God bless all that have the courage to stand up. I contacted a best friend of mine recently. Asked them if they'd be part of the documentary. They were always there for me. You know what that person told me? This is one out of like 20. All these other people are doing it and doing great. This former best friend of mine said this to me. No, but I'll be a silent partner for you. I'll be in the back, in the back. I'll stay in the back. And you're a witness to all these things that happened all over this time. You're waiting to have the cruises and celebrations. But you're not going to step up and be a witness now? You're not going to tell the truth? And you think that I should be grateful to you? That's a former best friend that I'm ashamed of. Because he was always ready and said he'd be there. And in the end, he decided, no, I'll just be behind the scenes. Well, that means you won't even be a friend. You're not even going to stand up when it's the most important time after all this time benefiting. So, no. And I'm ashamed of him. His name's John. I'll just say John. I trusted him so much. And he's not really important to the documentary. He's more basically a side note with some of the things he had seen. So I'm glad it was him that revealed his true colors in the end, him and his wife, Rose. So ashamed of him. Because this is the time to stand up for the children. This is the time now that we've got it. It's like, you're ready to charge and finish the fight. And this guy goes, well, I'll be back here ready at the feast. And you guys do it. and I'll be back here, and I'll be ready
I'll
to
wait for you.
silently be with you. This is not the time for those kind of people. No. No. Unbelievable how people turn it.
I'll just wait. I'll drive while you walk.
Yeah. So I'm done with those guys. I'm just done with them. And yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's really great intel. What of the movies would you say to watch or to see at this point to see what is most prominently going on according to what you can tell us?
Well,
if we're watching movies, what movie are we in?
I love it. What movie are we in, or which one gives us the best intel?
Maybe you can give us both. I think maybe, yeah.
Well, keep in mind for audiences too. I want to call them audiences for family too. You guys are the real family. Those that tune in and support channels like this and allow the truth to come forward. You're family. You're not audiences, and you're not fans. You're family. So the answer to the one comes about from the idea that they want to be more clever than the other and be more revealing covertly. And that turns into a real bonanza in the favor of family because they release so much information. In the series such as Men in the High Castle, they do a lot in the ones I've seen, even The Expanse. They do it in The Expanse. They show you what actually happens to children when they're trafficked. They do it in detail. They do a phenomenal job of showing.
The movie's called The Expanse?
The Expanse. It's a series on, what's it called? Prime, which is the one that did Man in the High Castle. And also they have the Terminal List. And these other series that really just spell it all out. They're just laying everything out. They're mocking with the same names. Jim Reese, main character, is the Terminal List main character, where I'm on a Terminal List. And so what's very interesting is in The Expanse, they show you what people have been told a myth about what happens to children. And I can tell you what the myth is, and I can tell you what really happens. And I think people understand why it's the way it is. If you want, I can address that right now, or I can go to other films. You call the pathway. Do you want to address that, or just go on to the other films? I mean, it's fine. We can do it another time if you want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I'm going to leave it up to you.
Well, it's intense. It's a hard one. It's intense. But the children need it. The children need the truth to be told. There is a ton of people doing false glory and trying, I'm not going to ever say names on this one, trying to be heroes, but they haven't earned it. And they create narratives upon narratives upon narratives, and they will threaten you that they'll destroy your reputation, that they'll come at you if you reveal them in any way, even if you talk about the truth. Well, the children deserve the truth. And I'll address it right now. I think it's going to be gutsy, but I'm going to do it. The Expanse reveals.
We love you because you're gutsy.
I'm going to do it that way.
Do it, Tom, do it.
Here's what people do. They do the shortcut when they never leave their house. And they'll say that they're going on these extractions. There are not children in tunnels in cages. You know why? Because if they're to service the elite, they need children that are willing and conditioned to do that. So they're not going to put them in cages and tunnels. And if you're extracting kids from tunnels and cages, then 50% of the time you're going to end up dead. Unless they're just inept down there and leaving it wide open with a pathway and arrows saying, here's a kid. And why would you take one kid instead of many kids? It doesn't make any sense. And why wouldn't you show the kids you take? It's all garbage. And I've caught so much flack for saying this doesn't happen. But the children deserve it. Yeah.
I hear you. I get it. But what about when they're being transported? So I understand that when they are actually living in these tunnels and things or underground bases, they're in pretty little rooms, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're in like it looks like daycare centers. So they're actually in facilities where it looks beautiful, nice, and they're well cared for in those facilities. Because when they're sent to elite and certain world leaders, they get groomed, clean, willing children. It's hellish. But the children believe this is what they do. They believe this is normal. If they were in tunnels or in cages, they would be horrified. Instead, they're treated, it's like going to school where you're in a community of all these kids that, you know, Johnny or Sally go out the door and they go to some president and they come back and it's normal in their world. They're taught to service adults. Does it make sense? They're not traumatized, but they are living hell. They're living a hell. My point is, there is no tunnels, underground bases with like these mass farms of kids. No, they are in facilities that if you rated it, it would look like you're in a daycare center. See? And that's
I get that. And that makes perfect sense. But what about when they are being transported?
Transported, they're in a limo or on a plane, and they look like normal, well-bred children. And they're taught that so they don't blow cover. They think it's normal to be servicing adults. So when they walk into the Oval Office, they're just escorted in. Like on a field trip. It is
I get that.
They don't want to make it so the child's going to be like, otherwise the child's going to be like, if they were in cages down in tunnels, they'd be like, help me.
Yeah, I get that.
They drive them in plain sight. They drive them in plain sight. Limo service, you name it, in plain sight. So the myth has to be crushed. There are no heroes rescuing these kids from tunnels. That's bull. Bull. That's
no, okay, hang on. You opening a serious can of worms here now, which I want to. Hey, I love you. I love cans of worms being opened. Yeah, but I'm going to ask you about this because
I've gotten so much flack.
And I'm not giving you flack. I'm not giving you flack, and I know why you're getting flack because a lot of people.
You are. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying I've gotten cut off by many people for speaking up for the kids. It's not about the glory. It's about the children. It's about the children, and my heart's there. And I will catch flack, and I've been cut off from main names that I've been very sweet to because I'm saying this is how the kids are transported. If we learn how the kids are transported and how they're treated, we'll be able to spot it and rescue them. Let's end the.
Okay, hang on. I'm just looking at some of the comments here, and I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, but I still think
anybody. I haven't said any names. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm here for the kids.
I hear you. I hear you. But I have spoken to some of the people that I work with who in fact was an elite, if you will, but worked a lot. Whatever they were doing with her, there were a lot of kids from Thailand that were being trafficked. This is here in Africa, where she tells me they were transported in the mine dumps. And what happens is they were kept in these rooms, okay, like under the mine, in the mine shafts, okay. So, and also that's, and they were also, there's certain houses, and I'm talking about here in South Africa, there would be rooms where these kids are kept under like a dungeon, like underground, under what do you call it?
Garbage.
And what she's saying, hang on. What she's saying is that they would then get washed and cleaned and showered and done whatever when the people, when these guys would come and auction. Basically, these kids were auctioned.
No. I've worked with the CIA. I know what's going on. Bull.
Okay.
That's bull.
Tell me. Okay.
They don't do that. They don't wash them up for the. God help us. This has got to stop. This garbage of false glory has got to stop, and I'm tired of it. The children come first. This is my word. I'm not out to put anybody down. No one. And I'm catching a lot of flack from those that are afraid of being caught, but I'm not naming any names. I am sick of the children putting second so others can talk like there's some kind of Tomb Raider and rescuing people. Like baby in one arm, machine gun in the other. And I've had people talking to me about this kind of stuff. bragging about this and showing a picture of a wall full of guns and asking me which gun I would pick when I was being snowed by them. It's like there is no way in hell a family mom or dad who has no experience in the military is going to be called in to go into the mines or tunnels to rescue one child.
No, it's not. It's not rescuing. The person I'm specifically talking about was one of these kids that was in what they call like the hierarchy kids or the elite kids. So this one would have been part of the elite.
Oh,
it's
God.
What they talk about.
Listen, if they're elite kids, then they're going to be groomed, treated well.
Yes, those are the hierarchy kids, but then there would be the expendable ones as well. The ones that they talk about that they would be using just for, let's say, adrenal harvesting, organ harvesting, blood rituals, stuff like that. So what they're saying is that there are two types of children. It's the hierarchy kids as well as the expendable.
There could be two types. There could be two types of children. Yes, there could be. Absolutely. Yes. Just like they have fetuses. Yes, that's possible. But the thing is, these raids.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you there.
It's just a lot. I have a brilliant mind. I have a genius mind. I'm sorry. I can't be snowed with this anymore. I have talked to some of these people, and they have been very vindictive and rude. And the thing is, like, I see a person that doesn't want to be caught, that's living a good lie. Not a good one. It's not even spun well. I'm too smart. I see what's going on, and I know the facts because I was groomed by the CIA.
Yeah,
I know what's going on, and I'm tired of the lies with children's lives at stake. And I hope people can understand that as family, that the children come first, and have a grain of doubt on those that claim to be some kind of heroes that show no evidence. The children come first. And I'll take that stand for them every time, no matter what it costs me. And I have been put down by these people. I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't said names. But I'll tell you, I will call BS when I see BS. And I am trying to help a world that children are free. And they're one of my foremost priorities. And I will not let someone else sit in an armchair in the living room, claim they're some kind of hero, sliding down a pole and saving one child out of many. That gets me.
Yeah,
that gets me.
No, I agree. There's a lot of that's why I say there's a lot of this going on right now, and obviously, you know,
popular.
And I think honestly, many of these stories are false flags. And I'm not saying that people aren't doing what they say they're doing, guys. I'm just saying I think there's a lot more of these false flags around this going on right now than what we are aware of.
Here's what I would say too, Shanti. I would say this. It's not about personalities. If you find yourself saying, I'm on the Tom team, or I'm on this person's team, or I'm on this person's team, it's not about that at all. We should all be on the same team for the truth, where it makes a difference for the children.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be drawn into somebody's snow job where they're some kind of hero and I have to address their fans because they say I'm taking them on. I'm not taking them on. In fact, I just want to help the kids. And I'm tired. It gives the false people more attention when you make it into a personality cult. Don't make it worse. Don't throw gasoline on the flames. Leave me out of it. I'll tell you what I do know is the children are transported in broad daylight, well-groomed and everything else. And think of the logic. That is so that if they're apprehended or caught or infiltrated, it's just a daycare. Oh no, we were just on our way to dinner. You see? The other side's not stupid when it comes to this. Broad daylight. That's how they do it. If they were hosed down and washed and brought out, God help us. Come on, that's just bad screenwriting. Join the Wachowskis. Anybody that wants to believe that. Join the Wachowskis and Christopher Nolan. Write a script with them because you'll fit right in. Stop believing garbage.
But hang on, Tom. I personally can't get away from the fact that, let's say, for example, you look at the Clintons in Haiti and the amount, and you look at these kids at the borders, right? It is all over the place that, and when there are these floods and weather conditions and children lose parents and stuff, it is a known fact that it is in those times that CPS and the Clintons with Haiti and whoever else, that is the time that they kidnap kids.
Let me tell you
kids.
something, Shanti. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You do the psychology of the inside. I know it. I've been around it enough. The predators that are the elite prey upon their own demographic. They have a taste for, I don't mean to be distasteful, a taste for their own ethnicity often, and well-to-do. They want well-to-do, good-mannered, groomed, clean, pure children. As hard as it sounds, that's their appetite. They don't want what they consider seconds. So they're going to want the best. You understand? Follow what I'm saying? So the best is what's groomed and bred and trafficked in broad daylight. If you want to save the kids, let this sink in. Now you know what to look for. And stop listening to people that claim they take a weekend to go into tunnels and pull one kid out. No names in mind. So don't, if you're fans of some people that are snowing you, don't send it my way. I don't want to even waste my time on it. I want to focus on the issue, which is the kids. So I don't want to get into debate with fans. We shouldn't be fans of anybody. We should be family trying to save kids, if that makes any sense. So I don't want to ever waste my time with someone saying, you're accusing so-and-so and so-and-so. If they need a personality cult following them, then they're false. I don't need a personality cult following me. I need people to help me get the job done.
Yeah.
That's what I need. I don't need a fan base. Anybody needs a fan base? They're false. They're false because that's their focus, is their fan base. And they need people fighting for them and their reputation. I'm tired of seeing good people standing up and saying, look, I have a question about this person, and I see this happening, and I heard this, and I heard these false things. And they get shot down by a group of people that are like attack fan base of charlatans. It's got to stop.
It's true.
It's got to stop.
It's true.
No more lynch squads on people who are simply being very polite, saying, I have a question about these facts. Let people speak. No fan bases, no personality cults, no standing up for one person against another. Let's work as a family to solve the problem, save the kids, respect our elderly, and finish the job. No more distractions. That's what the other side wants. So I am putting this caveat on this conversation. I have no one in mind. So don't come at me suggesting people. You're wasting my time and keeping me from doing my real work. So don't bring any names my way, anybody out there, saying you're accusing so-and-so. No, I'm not. But I will tell you what's really happening, and don't condemn me for that. Just be part of the family that brings solutions. If I'm right, help me finish the job. I don't want to hear about these other people that have this fantasy world, like the Wachowskis. Like I don't want to hear about the Wachowskis, and I don't want to hear about Christopher Nolan or Elon Musk. I just want to finish the job. Does that make sense? So I don't want to be drawn into, because I will address this for the kids. I don't want to be drawn into so-and-so and so-and-so, and he's putting down so-and-so. No, I don't have time for that. I just want to finish the work. I hope that sinks in, because my time's not wasted.
I think that it's important, very important, that we have these conversations. So I want to say thank you so much, Tom, for joining me again this evening. I know Andy Bond, who's sitting in the chat room right now, chatting away.
Yeah. I don't see the chat. Maybe it's a good thing it didn't come out.
Andy was supposed to be on tonight, but I know she's doing a whole lot of election stuff there, doing her beautiful duty there. So usually I have Andy and Tom that alternate. So we will be alternating again next week.
Yeah, let's switch it up. I'll change it to Andy Day next time now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's as always, God bless you, Tom. We love having you on the show. Thank you for your great reveals. Yeah, it's always good to hear what you have to say, and makes a lot of sense. Thank you to our viewers. You're amazing. Love your support. Love your interaction. Look forward to seeing you again next week. And Tom, I don't know, in the meantime, before we say cheers, is there anything you just like to end off with?
One thing, I didn't want to get distracted from it. March 13th, 1962 brings down the CIA. March 13th, 1962 brings it down. Operation Northwoods, right in the Matrix. So we got it. This is my most dangerous week. I'll finish the job. I love you all, and I am fans of no one, and I hope no one's fans of me, and that we just get the work done. We lift each other, and we do the best we can for the kids and for the elderly and for each other, for a better world. No more fans for anybody. We're all worth it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Mwah. God bless you all. Take good care of yourselves. Goeienaand. And I think we shall start giving all you Yanks some Afrikaans lessons on our African channels. Goeienaand means good night. Take good care of yourselves. Can you say it, Tom? You must go.
Oh, say it one more time.
Goeienaand.
Hoya.
Goeienaand.
Hoya.
Goeienaand.
Hoya non.
Goeienaand.
Hoya non.
Good evening, goodbye, all you beautiful people. It's great to have you. We'll start teaching you Afrikaans, so when you come to our country, you will absolutely be able to gooi die taal, as we say. Julle kan allemaal Afrikaans praat as julle hier na toe kom. Ons sien uit om julle hier te sien. We're looking forward to having you all here one of these days.
Oh,
God
yeah.
bless you guys.
In case of I can't wait.
Cheers, guys.